original.
Hello, and welcome to Web Crawlers, the podcast where we do a deep dive into some of our favorite mysteries. Each week, we will introduce our topic, lay out our research and findings, reveal some conspiracy theories, and conclude with our own hypothesis. I am Allie Siegel.
I am Melissa Stettin.
And I, producer Maria.
Cool.
Melissa, who are our new patrons?
We've got Maggie, Yasmin, who I'm assuming is Yasmin Bleeth from Baywatch.
Yes.
Alexis, spelled Alexyss.
That's
like
new.
it. Margot, as in Margot Robbie. Sarah, Claire, Claire from The Bachelor, and Ron M.
Welcome to the team, guys. Melissa, what is our episode for today?
Well, today, this episode was suggested by Mon Chéri in the Discord.
Also, my friend Ingrid, who is Canadian, also had suggested this a while ago to me, and I had totally forgotten about it.
Yeah, this is one of the most high-profile double murder cases in Canadian history.
Yes, huge deal, apparently.
And it happened in 2017.
Yeah, really recently.
It is the Billionaires, Barry and Honey Sherman, were found dead in their mansion, hanging from belts tied to a railing in a semi-seated position on their indoor pool deck.
Oh, God.
And the police believe that it was money related. So who killed these billionaires and why? Let's get into it. Okay, so who was Barry Sherman? He was a Canadian businessman and a philanthropist who was chairman and CEO of Apotex Inc., which is a Canadian pharmaceutical corporation founded in 1974 by Barry, and it's the largest producer of generic drugs in Canada. And so Barry had an estimated net worth of $3.2 billion at the time of his death, according to Forbes, and he was the 12th wealthiest Canadian, which is funny because my husband is the 13th wealthiest Canadian, Martin.
Is that true?
That's not true. No, it's not true.
Oh.
Honestly, that wouldn't surprise me, though.
I know. I was like, cool, Melissa.
No, he's not even close. So Barry went to the University of Toronto, and then he got a PhD in astrophysics from MIT. So he was a bit of a nerd.
Yeah, fucking
Barry
dork.
said, yeah, what nerd, dork. So Barry said his interest in business peaked when he was 10. One day his father brought him to work at his zipper factory in downtown Toronto. Yeah. And he gave Sherman some zippers to count and box. And Barry wrote that his father was surprised at how well he did. He was feeling, quote, more than would have been done in the same time by any of his paid staff. Sick burn.
Oh, wow.
He also recalled feeling insulated. He also recalled feeling insulted when his father counted them to check up on his work.
Oh, God.
In 1967, after he got his PhD, Barry took over his late uncle Lewis Winter's pharmaceutical company called Empire Laboratories. His uncle Lewis died suddenly of an aneurysm 17 days after his wife died of leukemia.
Oh, God.
So sad. They left behind 4 young children.
Oh, no.
So this Empire Labs estate allowed Barry to take over the company. This was he graduated from college, took over this company, but he ran it on the condition that the 4 young Winter children would be allowed to work for the company when they reached 21, because they were all under the age of 7, I think.
Whoa.
And these cousins were supposed to have the option to buy 5% stakes in the company. So this would be so these kids would be set, would have 5% in this huge pharmaceutical company. They could work there if they wanted to. But the agreement would be voided if Barry sold Empire.
Huh.
So he had to keep Empire. But in 1972, Barry sold Empire. So the contract with the 4 cousins was voided. So the cousins were like, what the fuck?
I'd be pissed.
Yeah. So they were not too happy about this because Empire was the largest pharmaceutical company at the time in Canada.
Oh my God.
And so the cousins unsuccessfully sued Barry over the sale of this empire. And Barry was also known for having a reputation of extreme combativeness, often including litigation. Like, he loved suing people.
I feel like if I could, I would love to sue people.
You know how like people are like, so sue me. He'd be like, okay,
I will.
He would take it seriously.
Like when my water
Love
heater
it.
wasn't working, like I wanted to sue people. Like I would sue people left and right if it wasn't a lot of trouble.
That was
Yeah.
such a 90s thing, suing people.
It really is 90s, I feel like.
Yeah.
So fun.
Like you need shoulder
I'm gonna
pads
sue
to sue
you.
someone.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
you
going to sue
do.
your ass. Web crawlers will sue your ass.
You need a sunburn and shoulder pads.
Yeah. And like a convertible to sue someone.
Yeah. And like a glasses tan
Yeah.
to sue someone. So in 1974, Barry started his own pharmaceutical company, Apotex. And by 2016, Apotex employed over 10,000 people. It was one of Canada's largest drug manufacturers with over 260 products selling in over 115 countries.
Whoa.
And the revenues were about $1.5 billion annually. Aside from his pharmaceutical company, Barry also invested in a bunch of side businesses that all turned out to be fraudulent schemes or run by people who were eventually arrested for fraud.
Uh-oh.
It was weird that he was like consistently investing in these like weird, shady side things. So people who knew Barry said he was always too trusting in people, and he rarely vetted people that he got into business with.
Well, that's not smart.
And one of the businesses he put money into was a yacht chartering company, but it turned out to be a fraud that had never bought any yachts.
Excuse you?
That's your first problem. If you're a yacht company and you don't buy any yachts,
Yeah.
that's the problem. And then for 15 years, Barry partnered with Frank D'Angelo, who was a fruit juice maker.
Okay.
He sounds like he's in the mob.
Yeah, well, and the two produced the Cheetah Power Surge energy drink, which I've never must be popular in Canada at the time.
Surge? No, Surge? I remember Surge.
Cheetah Power Surge.
Oh, sorry. I didn't hear the cheetah,
The Cheetah Power
part.
Surge. That's the important part of that. And then when Frank D'Angelo's brands went bankrupt in 2007, Barry lost $100 million. But he
Oh,
continued
shit.
backing D'Angelo's next venture, filmmaking, even after D'Angelo was arrested on sexual assault and obstruction of justice charges, which were later dropped in 2009.
Whoa, this guy needs to chill. Also, I Googled the Cheetah Power Surge drink and it looks insane.
It does look like something you would drink because I know you like Red Bull.
I mean, I'm going to order a case, but it looks,
Is it
crazy.
Still, no, it went bankrupt, right?
yeah, it doesn't look
D'Angelo
like it's
Brands
still.
went bankrupt in 2007.
What?
Maybe
It
you could
says
buy it on eBay.
caffeine free. That's surprising.
It's an energy drink, though.
Yeah, but they usually have caffeine in it.
Weird. Wait, Red Bull has caffeine in it,
For
right?
sure, yeah.
Or is it just like sugar?
And like bull
No, it's
testicles.
caffeine.
You know, it has bull
What? No, it
testicles in it.
doesn't.
That's what taurine
It does not,
is.
Allie.
Yes, it does.
That's on Snopes.
No,
Taurine.
taurine is bull testosterone. It's bull semen.
Ew.
Yes.
Wait, Red Bull confirms on its website that Red Bull does contain taurine, but taurine is not made from bull's testicles. The taurine in Red Bull is not derived from animals. It's produced synthetically by pharmaceutical companies.
They're trying to cover
But
up their tracks.
Taurine occurs naturally in certain foods such as meat and fish. It's also an added ingredient in some energy drink.
While it is true that taurine was originally isolated from bull semen, it is now produced synthetically, allegedly.
Interesting.
So just saying. Okay, sorry,
Okay.
continue.
So it's found in bull testicles.
Yeah.
But the one in Red Bull is produced synthetic. Okay, glad we cleared that
So
up.
they say.
So they say. So this guy, Frank D'Angelo, Barry was like good friends with him, and Barry financed all 8 films that Frank D'Angelo made through 2013.
Oh my God.
And if you look up his films, like Google Frank D'Angelo.
It sounds like that guy who made God, what was his name? That really bad The Room or
The
whatever.
Tommy Wiseau.
Tommy
Tommy
Wiseau.
Wiseau.
Yeah.
But these movies are called like Sicilian Vampire, Real Gangsters,
Oh my God.
The Red Maple Leaf.
Sicilian Vampire. A mobster takes a well-earned break at his family's hunting lodge, but when he's given a superhuman powers by a bat bite, he feels compelled to start putting right everything he's ever done.
Honestly, that sounds
the
amazing.
budget was $11.3 million.
Yeah, Barry financed it. And like the films were like, the reviews aren't like, this is dog shit. Like some of them are like 4 or 5 stars.
Oh my God.
Not terrible, but like not great.
You can watch them for free.
Oh, go have at it.
Okay, wait a minute. Now, some of these have like some big names in it.
Yeah.
Like James Caan,
What?
Martin Landau, Paul Sorvino, Chris Christopherson, and Mira Sorvino are all in the Red Maple Leaf.
He got some, because the
Okay.
budget was so huge. Because Barry was a billionaire. He could just pay all these actors to be in it.
This is bananas.
The Red Maple Leaf has a 5 stars out of 10. Written and directed by Frank D'Angelo. I mean, this guy made 8 movies. Like, good for him, you know?
Jesus Christ.
Good for him.
Yeah.
I'm watching the trailer for Red Maple Leaf right now. I bet
it's not bad.
these kinds of movies freak me out.
What is it about?
No, not like the kind kind of movie where it's like low, but it's like low quality.
Yeah.
That just, it freaks me out. It makes me think of like eating lunch on set. I don't know.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It always makes me wonder how these like movies get made, but it's always somebody's friends with some billionaire who like doesn't know anything about movies. Like, here, yeah, I'll give you a bunch of money to do it. It's mind blowing. Mind blowing.
It's nuts.
So then in the late 2010s, Barry worked with another man who was later convicted of fraud, Sean Rutenberg.
Oh my God.
So the two had been introduced by a mutual friend, Myron Gottlieb, who had met Rutenberg in prison following his conviction for fraud. And Rutenberg persuaded Barry to invest in his online trivia game. And then later, Barry sued Rutenberg, alleging that he just pocketed the money. Yeah, no shit, Barry.
Oh my God.
When you're working with, I met this guy in prison. We were both in here for fraud.
Yeah.
And we have this idea that you should invest money in. And then, God, for an astrophysicist, Barry's
He's not
an idiot.
a smart dude.
So then he met his wife, Honey, in 1971.
Oh boy.
They had 4 kids. And Honey was the more outgoing one. She loved socializing, while Barry was considered a workaholic who kept to himself. So like when the family would go on vacation, he would often stay inside working or like doing business. And despite being rich as hell, Barry drove his cars until they died. Like he didn't buy new cars. His Ford Mustang was so decrepit, it was leaking carbon monoxide into the passenger compartment. So for his 50th birthday, Honey gave him a red sports car with a bow on it at his birthday party, but he asked her to take it back.
Oh my God.
And so she did. Can you just imagine how like uncomfortable that must have been? Like they had a birthday party and she's like,
so
"Come on
awkward.
out to the driveway, Honey." And everyone's like, "Whoa." And he's like, take it back. Take it back.
I'd die.
He sounds boring as hell.
Yeah.
But the Shermans were big philanthropists. They gave $50 million to the United Jewish Appeal and other Jewish charities,
Hell yeah. Sick.
despite Sherman himself being an atheist.
Wow.
Yeah, they provided funds to build a major addition to the geriatric Baycrest Center and to other Toronto area community centers. And they were also major donors to the United Way, as well as the Apotex Foundation, his company, had sent over $50 million worth of medicine to disaster zones since 2007.
That's pretty nice.
And Barry personally often loaned money to Apotex employees who needed help. That sounds nice, but then it's like, why don't you pay your employees more? If your employees need help with money, that means you're not paying them enough.
Right.
So, like, that all sounds generous. But after his death, Maclean's, which is like a Canadian news magazine, found that Barry himself, through one of the many companies he controlled, had made large donations to several of the foundations he had set up in his or Apotex's name. And under Canadian tax law, this entitled him to an equivalent tax credit.
Oh, interesting.
So he had this scheme where he could donate all this money, but he would get like the equal amount of money back in tax credits.
Yeah.
So like it seemed like it was all in good faith. And so the foundations were then allowed to loan him back money, and they did, and loaning him almost a total of the $6 million he gave to charity, which is an unusually high amount for Canadian private foundations that loaned out their money. And the leader of a private charity watchdog group said that Barry was using his foundations as a piggy bank. And he called on Parliament to change the law because he was using it.
Oh, wow.
So, like I mentioned earlier, he had a mixed reputation because he was praised for his charitable donations, but a physician who fought him over drug development called him the only person I've ever met with no redeeming features whatsoever.
Holy shit.
Jeez.
And a Bloomberg writer reporting on Sherman's death said that some rival drug company execs used unprintable language to describe him.
Oh my God. They probably said
unprintable language.
Fuck, shit, damn, piss.
Yeah, they for sure said the F word.
Weenie, giny.
Weenie and giny and
Butthole.
They said butthole. They called him a big fat butthole.
Yeah.
He was called a deplorable human being. What is Pickles doing, Maria?
His Pickles.
She's going. She's digging a hole in your bed. Pickles, stop.
Pickles.
What are you trying to dig? That's a bed sheet.
Pickles.
Is there
Where
a
are you
bone?
going?
Is there a bone buried underneath your
No,
bed?
she's just
They
trying
do that
find
to
some
make it
sort
like
of-
a little hidey hole for themselves to try to create like a little den.
It's not going to work, Pickles. It's a blanket. No, she's going underneath the blankets.
Look at it. It just looks like a mound. What are you doing?
She's going under the blankets.
God.
Dogs are perfect.
Pickles. Barry was also called a deplorable human being
Wow.
by University of Ottawa law professor who claimed that he gouged Canadians with high drug prices. They said that Canadians pay more for generic drugs than almost every other country, and he sought to manipulate the system to enrich himself and impoverish Canadian patients who use his drugs.
Oy vey.
He also fought as many as 100 battles at a time in court to challenge
What?
drug patents. Yeah. And by 2016, he had filed over 1,200 lawsuits against the federal government.
Oh my God, bro.
Jeez.
Yeah, but the company's litigiousness had cost Canadian taxpayers millions of dollars in legal fees. So, like, this was costing taxpayers money to file all these lawsuits. So that was a bitch move, Barry. So one of Apotex's lawsuits over the company's application to make a generic version of the antidepressant trazodone took 30 years.
Asher's on that.
Your dog's on
Really?
trazodone?
Yeah, but doggy trazodone.
Really?
But only when he gets anxious. He takes a quarter of a trazodone.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, good for Asher. I'm glad he's addressing his mental health.
Yeah.
So yeah, this generic version, this whole thing it took 30 years until the Federal Court of Appeal ruled that the government had mishandled it. So this lawsuit, it took 30 years. Like, Barry didn't drop the lawsuit.
Oh my God.
Like,
what
that's
a crazy
how-
man.
That's how obnoxious he was. And so Barry himself once told employees that Apotex was primarily a legal company that sold medications on the side. Like, he even said for himself, he's like, we're more of a legal company.
God.
My God.
And so after his death, McLean's wrote, he was a billionaire driven to litigation less by money than something more primal, a sense of righteous certitude that propelled him to prevail at any cost. So they're saying he was just a psychopath who loved to sue. And in the 90s, the company began making its own brand of drugs. One of them was Deferoprone, which is a potential treatment for the blood disorder thalassemia. The trials were overseen by a hematologist. In 1998, this hematologist had serious concerns whether the drug was effective or safe, so she broke a confidentiality agreement with Apotex to publish her concerns. And then Apotex responded by attempting to damage her reputation and sue her.
Oh my God.
But the University of Toronto took Apotex's side because Barry had just donated $20 million to the college.
That's so fucked.
They're like, sorry, we have to take Barry's side because he's giving us money. And then they also fired Nancy, the hematologist. And this incident helped inspire the novel The Constant Gardener.
No
Okay,
way.
now you're speaking my
Okay.
language.
I thought you guys would like that.
All right.
So that movie wasn't about gardening?
I never saw it.
I didn't see it either. Wasn't that movie like 4 hours long though? Isn't that like the takeaway from that movie?
Oh, I don't know.
A British diplomat relocates to Kenya when Tessa's found murdered in the wilderness. How does that even relate to weird?
Is it with Ray Fiennes?
Yeah.
Well, it inspired the novel.
Does it have runtime? Does it say how long it is?
2 hours and 9 minutes.
So it's not that long for movies now, but I feel like at the time people complained it was super long.
And movies shouldn't be
Yeah.
over 2 hours. They should be an hour
No.
and 45.
Yeah.
Even Titanic?
No, that's an exception.
Okay.
That is the
Just wanted
exception.
to make sure.
So in 1996, the Shermans' North York home was completed after 5 years of construction, but they were dissatisfied with the work done on it. In particular, they claimed that the garage, which is a structure with a tennis court on top and a basement lap pool in the hot tub, were faulty. And Barry called it a disaster. And he and his wife filed 12 lawsuits against the contractors because they be suing.
Embarrassing.
They be suing.
Embarrassing.
They ended up winning almost the entire $2.3 million cost of the building
Oh my God.
through favorable judgments. So they won. They sue, they win. They got a free house out of it,
Wow.
pretty much. Crazy. So what happened to these 4 cousins? Remember the 4 children that were left behind? So in 2011, the 4 Winter children sued Sherman, alleging that he never paid royalties from their dad's company, and the cousins wanted a 20% interest in Apotex or damages of $1 billion. And Barry responded by withdrawing millions of dollars in financial assistance to his cousins. So he was giving the cousins money already. Like, he was giving them money, but probably not nearly as much as they would make if they had that 5% in their dad's company. So the cousins said that Barry had offered the financial assistance in the first place in order to make the cousins dependent on him and to keep them from learning about their rights to the business.
Oh shit.
So he was just trying to like shut them up. Like, here, take this money. Don't sue me. Whatever. It's fine. But in September 2017, they ruled against the cousins.
Oh my God.
So they didn't win. And at the time of the judgment, a lawyer for the cousins said they would appeal, though no appeal occurred, and Barry ended up dying a few months later.
Ooh.
So, in 2017, the Shermans decided to sell their longtime home on Old Colony Road in North York and move to a new one they were building in Forest Hill, which is closer to downtown Toronto. This new house was 16,000 square feet.
Oh my God. That's insane.
Had a central swimming pool with a 41-foot retractable skylight and living quarters for staff.
That's such a good idea for a pool, is to have
It's
it inside, but
retractable
then you can,
skylight,
it's
yeah.
retractable.
That is pretty sick.
So they put the North York home on the market, asking almost $7 million. And on December 12th, Honey missed a meeting of the Baycrest Center Foundation Board without notifying them beforehand, which was unusual for her. And so they reached her by email, and she replied saying she was, quote unquote, dealing with some stuff. That's all she said. And the next day, the couple met at Apotex headquarters late in the afternoon, where they went over some design changes to the new house and Barry's office. And Honey was planning to leave for a holiday vacation in Miami a few days later, and Barry was going to join her a week later, but it was the last time they were seen alive.
Dun, dun, dun.
Hey, this is a good time to take a break.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's take a moment.
Oh, yeah.
Web Crawlers has a Patreon to get access to rewards, bonus episodes, videos a day early, shout outs, as well as ad-free episodes. Please go to patreon.com/webcrawlers. You can donate as little as $2 a month to become one of our bimbo patrons. Please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts. If you give us a 5-star review, we will read it on our mailbag episodes. Also, Erios has a hotline. Insert jingle here.
626-604-6262.
It's really been popping off and we get tons of messages. So please leave us a voicemail and we will play it on our mailbag episodes.
And we're back. So later that evening, after returning home, Sherman sent his Apotex staff a routine email about a drug the company was developing. He didn't call anyone during that night, which they said was unusual because he frequently suffered from insomnia. Apparently, he would just be calling people all night.
No thanks.
And the
Hard
next
pass
day,
on that.
yeah, no thanks. The next day, he didn't show up at Apotex. And again, this was out of the ordinary for him. And then the next morning, December 15th, neither Barry nor Honey was expected to be at home in the morning. And the cleaning staff had already let themselves in with the recently installed lockbox when a pair of real estate agents arrived around mid-morning with a couple interested in the property.
Interesting.
After showing them around the main story, the agents took the couple downstairs to the lap pool and the hot tub. They're like, yes, come along. This house is for sale. This is a lovely house. There's a nice pool in the basement.
Oh, no.
But then when they got, they got to the basement or where the pool was, they discovered on the floor next to the pool, Barry and Honey's bodies.
Oof.
Both of, could you imagine looking at a house for sale? The agent's like, and there's a beautiful staircase which leads down to the pool, and then there's 2 dead bodies.
Yeah, that's a bad house showing.
That's a bad house showing.
Yeah.
You might have to quit after that. So both of their necks were tied with leather belts to a metal railing, which was slightly over a meter high around the pool. Barry was seated, his legs crossed, on the pool deck. Honey was on her side with a bruise on her face, and coats were pulled down over their shoulders, restraining their arms.
What?
And they were facing away from the water and fully clothed. And Honey's cell phone was found in a bathroom that, according to friends, she never used, suggesting that she might have gone there in an attempt to get help, but was overpowered in the process. Like, there was a bathroom she never really went into. Similarly, Barry's gloves, as well as paperwork related to an inspection of the house, were left on the floor just outside of the garage on the way to the basement pool. And a window had been left open to allow a recently painted room to air out, and a basement door was unlocked. So, as apparently the Shermans frequently left it unlocked. Someone who may have known this, as well as the interior layout of the house, may have been able to escape through a neighboring backyard after the crime. So, the investigation. So, the police were called, and their deaths were treated as suspicious.
Yeah, you think?
Postmortem, you think? Postmortem examinations showed the cause of both deaths was ligature neck compression, which is ligature strangulation caused by binding or tying.
Oof.
And Toronto police had previously told the news media that there was no indication of forced entry into the Sherman home, and that the investigation did not include a search for any suspects. Although there was no note left by the deceased, police sources told the Toronto Star on December 15th that they were, quote unquote, probing the possibility that they were a murder-suicide. And so the Sherman children
I don't see it.
issued a statement urging the police to conduct a thorough criminal investigation and chastise the police for leaking a murder-suicide theory. And they also contacted Toronto lawyer Brian Greenspan to get a private investigator to look into the deaths. And on January 26, 2018, the Toronto police said their investigation concluded that the couple had been killed in a targeted attack.
Yeah, for sure.
And at the time, they would not discuss any possible suspects, but planned to interview everyone who had access to the home prior to the deaths via the lockbox that was previously installed by the real estate agent.
Oh, shit.
Interesting. But can I just say this?
Yeah.
Yes.
If the real estate agent had anything to do with it, God forbid, they wouldn't have taken the people on the house tour.
Or
it makes her seem
would
not
they?
culpable.
Right.
If she's like, oh my God, there's a dead
that's
body.
Smart. That's why. Okay, yeah, that's so smart. That's so smart. Okay.
Like, dead body. What's that? Oh, what's that doing here? That's weird.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, that's
Well, I wasn't expecting that.
Why did the house stager put that there?
yeah. Somebody call the police. That's weird.
I wouldn't have brought you two here if I knew that was here.
Oh, oops. Oh, God. Sorry. In late October 2018, the lawyer, Brian Greenspan, announced that the family had offered a $10 million reward in the couple's homicide investigation for any information that led to an arrest.
Huh.
And at the time, he complained about the police investigation, claiming that it had failed to collect important evidence. What else is new?
Seriously, the police are fucked.
God. By October 2018, the police had obtained 37 warrants related to the investigation. And on April 25th, 2019, the Toronto police said they had a working theory of the case and an idea of what happened.
Well, what is it?
And so in 2019, the private investigators had revised their timeline of the case. So while previous statements had suggested police believe the couple had been killed early on December 15th, they now said the murders had occurred 2 days earlier, within hours of the Shermans returning home on the night of the 13th. So they think they might have been dead for a couple days. No suspects or persons of interest have as yet been publicly identified.
Really?
It's crazy that you can still get away with murder. It's crazy.
But that has not stopped speculation about who might have been responsible.
Yeah, who done it?
Yeah, who done it? Particularly given Sherman's many business associates with criminal records and those who had been angered by his actions. Like,
Well, also, he sued like 5,000
he had
people.
1,200 lawsuits. It could be anyone. So he himself had acknowledged that an attempt could be made on his life. He once said, for $1,000 paid to the right person, you can probably get someone killed, he told Jeffrey Robinson
$1,000?
in an interview for his book.
Yeah, I
in the
honestly
late
think it's
1990s.
pretty cheap to kill someone.
Yeah. Perhaps I'm surprised that hasn't happened. That's what he said. Could it perhaps be one of the cousins, Carrie Winter? So at the time of the homicides, Barry had just won a ruling that the Winters, the cousins, owed him $300,000 in legal fees for the lawsuit because they lost the lawsuit. It was dismissed.
Oh,
They
fuck
tried
that.
to sue him for the uncle's company. At the time, when was that? It was 3 months earlier
That's messed.
that the cousin's lawsuit happened. So 2 months after the bodies were found, Barry's cousin, Carrie Winter, appeared on the CBC show, The Fifth Estate, confessing that he had fantasized about killing his cousin, even though he denies being the actual culprit.
Here's the thing. I feel like if you were guilty, you wouldn't say that. Or is that a great thing to say if you're guilty?
I don't know. This interview...
I don't think it's a good thing to say if you're guilty.
Yeah,
But it
makes you
throws
seem
people
crazy.
off. It throws you off.
I know, but think of,
I found the interview.
Because he lives alone. He doesn't have an alibi for that entire Wednesday night.
No alibi. Wednesday night, I went to my Cocaine Anonymous meeting. I came home, as I usually do, watch some Netflix, eat some Doritos, fall asleep. Thursday night, same thing, went to work. Very easily for me to have left work at any time because I'm not on the clock. I'm a site supervisor. I can get in my car. I can take a 3-hour break during the day. I could easily have driven over to Colony and done the deed. I admit to that, but I didn't. And that's
He's
why I'm not-
innocent. Did he say he went to his
Really?
Cocaine Anonymous meeting and then went home and ate some Doritos?
Yeah.
Who is he, me?
yeah, while watching Netflix.
I love that guy. Is he hot? What's his name?
There's another... sorry, with my Bluetooth. There's another video from this. This whole interview is hilarious.
I mean, I had opportunity. I had motive. I can see why the police might say, this guy's also a fucking nut.
God.
And he confessed to us he had indeed fantasized about killing Barry Sherman.
Like I would
No.
talk about killing Barry, and it was very graphic. The way I was going to do it wouldn't have been belts. It was
What
going
an
to be
idiot.
in the Apotex parking lot. That was my vision always. Then he'd come out of the building in Apotex, and I'd be hiding behind a car, and I just decapitate him. I wanted to roll his head down the parking lot, and I just sit there waiting for him to leave.
With such
Like,
I love that
What
guy.
an
what are you
idiot.
doing?
What an idiot.
What are you doing?
I think he's innocent.
So,
He's probably single. I think he is single.
yeah, I bet you he
I want him
is.
to roll
crazy.
my head like a bowling ball.
It's like when OJ wrote that book that was like, if I had done it, this is how I would have done it.
Oh, God.
Crazy. Cocaine Anonymous meeting. That
Actually,
night.
you know what? To be honest, I actually think he's guilty. Here's why. I've changed my mind.
OJ
because
or Carrie?
No, oh, yeah, OJ's definitely guilty. But that guy, the
You know
guy,
what? I actually think OJ's guilty. Now that I
He's
think
guilty.
about it.
no, that guy whose interviews we were just listening to. Here's why. Addicts are great liars, and they've spent their whole entire life lying. And
Right.
so I think he's probably used to lying and used to manipulation and used to being kind of like a bit of a con artist. So I think in his head, he's probably like, if I talk about how I wanted to kill him and how I would do it, people would be like, an innocent person would, a guilty person would never talk that much in detail about killing someone and how they could
Right.
do it. So I bet he probably did do it.
Yeah?
All right. Well, I guess you guys are broken up then.
Yeah, I just like we need to take some space, I think. I just need to think about some things for a little bit.
He also said in that interview that Barry had asked him twice to kill his wife, Honey, 2 decades ago. So, like, he
What?
claimed that Barry was like, yeah, well, he asked me to kill Honey 2 decades ago. So, like, he was
That's
making
a
a
little
lot
weird.
of wild claims in that interview. But you never know.
Seems like he maybe fell off the wagon.
Yeah, in that interview, he seemed a little
Snorting that
too
yay.
into it.
Yeah.
Frank D'Angelo was also mentioned as possibly having a motive to kill Sherman, Barry Sherman,
Huh.
because they had a long history between the two. Frank was, had a checkered legal history. And in his interview with Bloomberg, he said the worst thing that could have happened to Frank D'Angelo is Barry dying, and expressed regret that he had not been able to save a man he regarded as a close friend. He believed that somebody came to make Barry an offer he couldn't refuse, and he refused.
So Frank D'Angelo apparently was great at karate.
Oh, well, guilty, right?
Hold on, I'll send you.
Case closed. Well, I mean,
he was a karate champion. Google Frank D'Angelo.
This Frank D'Angelo, he is a jack of all trades, right? He had a
really
juice
is.
company. He's a director.
Do you think he was really good at karate? Or do you think
Look at
he
this.
just said he did karate?
No, look, I'm sending you photos.
Karate was so 90s, like being good at karate.
Yeah, Karate Kid. He was Kiyoshi Frank D'Angelo. I think he was big in his dojo.
Okay, well,
Okay.
he's in class with a bunch of kids.
He's just beating up the kids.
It's literally a picture of him with a bunch of kids.
I don't know if I would see Frank killing him, because Barry was the one who was giving Frank all this money despite, like, Frank having this checkered past. Like, Frank was Barry's boy. Like, they were boys. Like, they...
There are literally so many pictures of Frank D'Angelo doing karate. That is so weird. I wonder if this is the same Frank D'Angelo or if there's another one, but it looks kind of like him, right?
I bet it was him. Although these... Well, yeah. Back in the 70s, 80s.
I mean, just something to think about, that he just was great at karate.
Yeah. Have you watched the Karate Kid with Hilary Swank yet?
Karate Kid with Hilary Swank. Hilary Swank is in Karate
Yeah,
Kid? Which
The
one?
newest one, right? Or the...
The one, I think it's 3 or 4. It's the new Karate Kid. It's so good. It's crazy.
No.
Oh, yeah. I used to watch it all the time. And if you like the first one, you're going to love when Hilary Swank starts to learn karate.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'll definitely watch it. I ate up that TV show they did. Cobra Kai.
It's all great. It's all Karate Kid entertainment is where it's
It
at.
really is. I love Karate Kid. Anyway, sorry to digress.
Another suspect could be their children. So there are several reports that Barry and Honey discussed the idea of joining a foundation in which billionaires gave away the majority of their wealth when they die.
Ooh.
This foundation was created and backed by Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. And so Honey had made arrangements to make changes to her will just weeks before her death.
Uh-oh.
And
That's always a red flag.
and no will has been found since the death.
Oh, that's
There's no
weird.
will. They don't know what happened to it. So maybe the children were upset that they were planning on donating most of their wealth to like this foundation. or
Yeah, I'm
something, and
sure.
They're like, over my dead body, right?
No pun intended.
So Jonathan, one of their sons, had recently asked his father for $250 million to fund a building project in cottage country, but
What?
Barry did not like the idea and turned him down. So Barry was like, no, son,
Okay.
you cannot have $250 million.
It's a lot of money.
And Barry continued to invest in Frank D'Angelo, which pissed off Jonathan. Jonathan sent email to one of his sisters saying that Barry was jeopardizing their inheritance by making risky investments and it was time for something to be done. So Jonathan was
That's
like,
suspect.
Dad keeps giving money to Frank and it's fucking up our inheritance.
I mean, that's I get it.
Fair. That's like how Alec Baldwin keeps having children and like the other children must be like
Oh yeah,
with
that must be annoying as
hilaria because
hell.
they have 5 kids. The other kids are like,
They
God
do?
damn it, we have to share our inheritance with these fucking 5
Oh my God,
more
that's so
kids."
fucked.
Yeah. In the book, The Billionaire Murders, the author speaks of how Jonathan and Honey hated each other. Like Jonathan and his mom, Honey, apparently didn't like each other.
Really?
And the killer got in undetected and knew that both Honey and Barry would both be home on Wednesday night with it, which is extremely rare. That they were home like at the same time on a Wednesday night. So the killer must have known their schedule.
Yeah, so it was like friend or family or
Yeah.
someone who's employed by them and lives in like the servant quarters.
Yeah. And it was the servant in the servant quarters with the
Yeah, it was the
the
butler
rope.
with the candlestick.
yeah.
It was the butler in the pool room with the retractable ceiling.
So Barry was ambushed just as he walked in from the garage, which is underground. And Honey was ambushed as soon as she walked in from a side door. And the house apparently had 9 entrances.
What?
So that must mean the killer were familiar with the entrances in which the victims would use and where they parked their car. Like they knew what doors they walked in. They knew
Yeah.
They knew.
They knew.
So perhaps someone didn't want to lose $3 billion to charity, which would have happened if Barry and Honey had lived long enough to sign up for Bill Gates' charity thing. So this company, Apotex, they have fired Barry's best friend and longtime partner under Jonathan's command, under their son's command. So when Jonathan took over Apotex, he fired Barry's friend who was there.
Oh my
And he
God.
sold off large sections of the company, including Florida real estate, intended for an expansion plan. So the son is like selling off all of this, like selling off the company to get money.
Well, the son did it.
That's what I'm thinking. And also, when the murders took place, the Toronto Police Department were busy with this other serial killer case of Ruth MacArthur. So they're claiming that like the Toronto police did not put their full effort behind investigating. That's why they're like, well, it was a murder-suicide. And everyone's like, no, police department, it was not a murder-suicide.
Well, also maybe they just didn't like Barry that much and didn't like care really because he was always suing everyone. It was kind of just like a nuisance. So they were just like, whatever, he's dead.
Yeah.
No skin off our back.
True. And so as of November 25th, 2020, the Toronto police said they had identified a person of interest, but then 2 days later clarified that it could be one person or multiple people.
Oh.
And that's the last update they have from, 2-3 months ago.
Oh, shit.
They have a person of interest, so this case might be updated at some point.
I think it's the kids.
That seems likely. Or the cousin, Carrie Winter. I don't know. It's one of those two.
Who was in the will? Who did she update to be in the will?
Well, the will, they couldn't find it. They said the will was not located. They were planning on changing it. Or Honey had made arrangements to make changes to her will just weeks before her death, which was confirmed by her lawyer.
Right.
So I don't think she changed it. They were gonna change it to donate all their money to this like huge foundation. And so I think someone who's upset about that maybe stop them.
Yeah.
That's 100%. Why I think it could have been the son. Just saying.
100%. Yeah.
I'm not saying it just could have been the son. Anyway. Yeah.
It's probably the son. So if you live in Canada, if you're from Canada and you were around like the time of this case and you remember anything about it or, you know, like have any insight.
If you were a witness, you know.
If you're a witness or if you know any of these people, please call in and let us know. My friend Ingrid, I remember her saying like this was like the hugest deal there.
Yeah.
Melissa, if people want to reach us, where can they find us?
You can email us at webcrawlerspod@gmail.com.
So do that. Anyways, I am Allie Siegel.
And I'm Melissa. So sue me, Stetton.
Yeah.
And I'm Maria Real Estate Surprise Blasucci.
That's a good one.
Oops. What a surprise.
Bye.
Bye.
An Erios original.
Powered by Acast.